And good morning, everyone, and welcome to Education, Leadership, and Beyond, Surviving and Thriving. Happy Saturday. Good morning, everyone. Whether you're in the Northeast, where it's in the single digits, maybe teens weather-wise, or wherever you are watching, good morning to you. Happy holidays. Thanks for tuning in. We are a proud member of the Education Podcast Network, Voice Ed Radio Canada, wherever you are taking in your podcast. Thank you so much for your support. Leave us a positive comment and or review. We've had a lot of guests on the podcast. We're in the 300s, but it's not every show you get to have the New York State Superintendent of the Year, as well as the National Superintendent of the Year 2023, Dr. Kevin McGowan, Brighton Central Schools, Rochester, New York. Looking forward to talking to Kevin, and thanks for his flexibility. We were supposed to be earlier, and he was able to change for me, so I'm grateful for that. And good morning to everyone here. Before we get started, a quick word from our sponsor, IXL. If you are an educator, if you're a New York educator, certainly know you've heard of IXL. Let's hear a word from them.
I'd like to thank IXL for sponsoring today's podcast. Over 1 million teachers use IXL in their classroom every day. IXL is the most widely used online learning and teaching platform K through 12. It empowers schools with complete curriculum, thousands of instructional resources, robust reporting, assessment data, and more. It saves teachers a lot of valuable time with ready-made plans aligned to the standards and the textbooks. Built-in engagement tools like custom competitions make learning fun for students. And IXL's diagnostic is research proven to be a strong predictor of performance on standardized assessments. And the best part, everything I just mentioned is all integrated into one platform, so you can simplify your ed tech tools. Visit IXL.com to lead your students towards data-driven excellence today. The link is in the show notes. And again, appreciate IXL sponsoring today's podcast.
Round of applause, IXL. Thank you for that. Our opening concept this morning is rounding up, doing a little bit, a lot of the time. A lot of fundraisers. It's the holiday time. Everyone's asking you for money. Any store, wherever you're going in, there's a fundraiser. But one of the most successful fundraisers out there is the rounding up. Would you like to round up? You pay with your card. It's $7.23, and they say, would you like to round up to $8? Most people just hit, yeah, sure. It's only a couple cents, right? It's a half a buck, whatever. And most people hit, yeah. And that fundraising concept of rounding up has created so much more revenue for so many more fundraisers. And it really goes to the concept of doing a little bit, a lot of the time. Dr. McGowan has a busy day today, right? He's got a busy schedule. He crammed a little time in. But I know there's exercise in there. I know there's family in there. I know there's errands in there. We're doing a little bit a lot of the time. It's 9 a.m. here in the East Coast. How many of us have exercised already? How many of us have written in our journal? Doing those little things each and every day, they add up, they compound, right? It's like studying for that exam. Do you do an all-nighter and study for 5 hours late into the night? Or do you study 30 minutes, 45 minutes each day leading up to that, doing a little bit, a lot of the time? So whatever that is that you're trying to compound in your life, is it better to do a lot, right? Are you going to donate $200 at the counter there, or are you going to over time continue to donate with multiple people? that concept of a little bit a lot of the time. And a quick commercial. It is the holiday times. My newest book is out. The Magic Acronyms, Formulas, and Impactful Stories of Leadership. Dr. Rob Gilbert. Check it out. It'll be coming out on Audible as well very soon, read by the author. So thank you for that. But enough of me chit-chatting. Let's welcome Dr. McGowan in from Rochester, New York. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning. Good to see you, Andrew. So excited to be on here with you this morning.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your flexibility. You look nice and warm today. What's the temperature in Rochester, New York?
I haven't even looked, but I'm going to guess. I'm just peeking out the window. I'm going to guess we are definitely just hovering around 10 degrees is my assumption. It's pretty cold out there.
Kevin, I know one of the most important decisions as a superintendent, right? Is there going to be a snow day? Is there going to be a delay? Like with those cold temps in Rochester, like does a cold temperature cause a delay if it's below zero? Are you delaying with that, or is it only the snow?
Andrew, this drives me a little bit nuts. I'm not going to lie to you. First I'll give you a quick anecdote. Thursday afternoon, my daughter, 8th grader at 12 Corners Middle School here in Brighton, calls me as she's leaving school with her gaggle of friends to explain to me that it is so cold they do not believe that it would be safe for us to have school the next morning. My reply was, of course, tomorrow morning you're talking about, not today. No, tomorrow morning. It's going to be too cold. It could be unsafe. I said, well, I'll drive you. It won't be a problem. I'll pick up your friends, in fact, as well. That was not the answer that she was looking for. I said, well, we'll have to see in the morning. And you know what? I'm thinking that tomorrow morning you'll have school. I mean, it was my best pregnant pause ever. And it was very disappointing to a group of 13-year-old young women on their way over to get what apparently was a needed chai latte after school and warm themselves up. So sometimes the cold does. I mean, that comes up, particularly in districts that have large walking populations. I think that we have a better understanding now than ever before about the danger of how long to be outside and how long, exposure for your skin can be a problem, and the fact that not everybody has an opportunity to get picked up and get dropped off and things like that. But I say it drives me nuts only because I really think we also need to always be thinking as leaders about the impact of kids who then are at home without access to a hot meal, perhaps without access to loving, caring adult who is a difference maker for them during the day. And there's, I think, a significant impact to that. So I'd rather get them into a warm building with food. And I would err on the side most of the time of being the person that says, listen, I'm not trying to be, a tough guy in the American West. I'm just saying it's better to have people in school. That's our whole goal. So it gets under my skin a little bit. I think we can just throw an extra pair of gloves on and go.
This is Dr. McGowan, friends, Brighton Central School District, Rochester, New York. Dr. Bell here in Port Jervis sends his best, says he's a rock star in the business. And Kevin, your answer just summed up your leadership right there. There was a little humor. There was a human connection, story about your daughter, right? But then it turned to the seriousness of the business and the reasoning behind those. While some people think it's a light decision, those are important decisions. And I think the human connection and certainly the inclusivity of your leadership is evident in all that you do. Kevin,
thanks, Andrew.
Been with Brighton. This is your 17th year as superintendent, 20 years as a superintendent, but 17 years. The average tenure of a superintendent is 3 to 4 years. You're 17. You're in the top 10 of 700 superintendents in New York State. Give us some of your survival points. The secret to your longevity? How are you still in this position and still thriving after all these years?
Well, first of all, shout out to your superintendent, John Bell, one of the best. And I'd say number one, be like John Bell, right? I think that's a key. I work with really good people. I work on a great team. I walked into the district 17 years ago with the honor of working with some incredible leaders, teachers, staff members, board members, community members, and that continues today and I think has only built over time as well. So I think longevity has to do with just being around the right people. I think some of it is being in the place that's right for you. It's something we talk to aspiring superintendents all the time about and other school leaders in terms of thinking about the district that is the right fit for you. This is a place where my wife and I made a very intentional decision that we wanted to raise our children, a community we wanted to be a part of, and a community that just fits us as humans, as husband, wife, as family, and has been a big part of our life. So I think if you can find the place that fits for you and continues to challenge you and continues to, feed you professionally and intellectually, and you're around the right people that you really genuinely enjoy working with and being in community with towards this really bigger common goal to make outcomes better for kids, to improve situations for children and families. And you can keep doing that and finding challenge in that and see the value in that. I think you turn around and all of a sudden it's 17 years later. I mean, it's when you say that, it's remarkable to me personally, only in the sense that it seems like it was just yesterday. And I think about how young my kids were when they started here, who are now often doing their own thing, 2 of the 3. It's amazing, but it has a lot to do with the people that I work with and the place that I'm in.
Yeah, wow. Brighton Central Schools, check them out. Incredible. Kevin, what would you say to the younger Kevin McGowan? What would you say to those rookie superintendents after all that experience, after all the ups and downs? What are some things you look back on and say, oh, yeah, this is great advice for some younger superintendents or those principals that are thinking about becoming a superintendent?
I think one thing that people get, you can get overwhelmed in the work early by thinking that you have to solve all of the perceived problems on day 2. And I think, one helpful piece of advice is just take a breath, develop relationships, build capital with people, get to really know what's been happening before you got there and understand the world you're walking into. People have been living it for a long time. It's their world, and you're a guest who is building residency in that place. So build the residency, right? Like build capacity, build your own knowledge of the people that are working with you, and really dig in deep to developing those relationships and take a breath. There are some urgent things, right? There are non-starters for you. There's reasons why you were hired. And depending on the circumstance, there are things that maybe the board or the community needs you to solve quickly. But most of the time, most of those things can wait until you've really developed a solid strategy, developed trust with people, and really understood the complexities of the issue. Usually the solution is not what you thought it was when you first looked at the problem. So I just think taking your time and taking a breath is awfully important, and developing a good sense of what really is urgent and what can wait.
Kevin, you've mentioned the people in Brighton Central Schools many times there. I would imagine you've hired most of them now, right? Over time. What do you as a leader, as a very successful leader who is enriching their community, what do you as a leader look for in those people, whether it's a clerical, whether it's a teacher or leader in your cabinet there? What are some standout characteristics that you look for in one of your hires?
I'll tell you, it sounds trite or too simple, but I really do think at the end of the day, you're looking for good human beings, right? So there are skill sets that you're looking for, good communication skills and people who are articulate and thoughtful and knowledgeable about their work. But I do think most interviewing for most positions and most selections happen within the first couple of minutes of meeting somebody. And just that interpersonal connection, and are they thoughtful? Are they caring about kids? Are they focused on children or themselves? And we ask a lot of different questions in different stages of the interview process, depending on what position it is and what type of role they would be filling. Me understanding, as a person who takes very seriously who is around my own children and my own children's growth and development and our family, do I want this person with my own child? And trying to always put myself in the position of, as a dad, as the person who's sitting at the table representing the interests of my wife, but all the moms and dads in the community, all the uncles, aunts, guardians, community members, thoughtful contributors. Is this a person that I would trust, not just from a safety perspective? That's obviously so important, but it's more trust with this moment in time, opportunity at this age and stage of development to learn, to grow, to develop, to have doors opened, to have hearts, expanded and opened and flourish. Is this the person that I want with my child to do that? And I think, again, the other technical questions, important. and we get to those, and we make sure the person is competent and intelligent and thoughtful and has capacity. But are they a good human being that we want to work with, that is open to learning, that is vulnerable themselves, but at the end of the day is focused on the child in front of them more than anything else? That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, and you could see, I mean, here's an example, right? Look at that. Carrying the banner, right? I'm proud to wear my Port Jervis shirt today and carry the banner for Superintendent Bell and all of our community.
Thanks.
But literally, there's a picture of you carrying the banner. So tell me about that engagement also that you look for within the community. You've mentioned people of interest, right? Outside the people who work in the district. But talk to me about those elements that you and others connecting with the community that make it important as well. And again, I think this picture exemplifies it.
Well, let me tell you about that picture, maybe to connect you with that. So this is really interesting.
You have a good hair day, by the way, Kevin.
Yeah, that wasn't bad.
You got the waves going on, and it's looking good.
It wasn't bad. Thank you. Yeah, those days are numbered, I think, but I appreciate you saying it. So
we're hanging on.
Here's what's interesting about that picture in particular, and your viewers, listeners should know, randomly selected, right? I didn't see this ahead of time, but it kind of points to a lot of what you're getting at. That is a picture from our homecoming parade. And we march every year together, the board with myself, my family. Now we've had other leaders jump into that as well in our district, and basically invite everybody. And in the parade, we are there right next to where the 4 classes from the high school go with their float. So there's this connection to kids. My daughter is on my left in the picture, on the right-hand side of the picture with the Bright Strong t-shirt on. She's now in 8th grade, Emma. And she's holding the banner. And on the other side of the banner is Peggy Bernold. And Peggy Bernold is the child of one of our board members and is now a student at French Road Elementary School in our district. She's holding hands with her dad, Dirk. He's not on the board, but Mom, all the way on the right-hand side of the picture, Karen Hatch, is an amazing board member who's now vice president of the Monroe County School Boards Association. Wow. She was president of our PTSA. She's this highly engaged, involved, wonderful, dynamic, amazing leader. Again, doing the work of the County School Board Association, was deeply connected to parents as a PTSA member, volunteering in the community, amazing person. Behind her, over my shoulder in the picture, Julene Gilbert, former board member. Julene was on the board for 27 years. Was on the board that hired me. Wow. Just recently off the board, an amazing human being, continues to be close to her family. I believe the skirt that my daughter's wearing is like a cheerleading skirt that Julene bought because she thought that it'd be fun if Emma wanted to wear it when she was really little. And, they welcomed my kids. Emma was not even in the cards when we first came here. Our family has literally grown up here. But Julene, volunteer with Jewish Family Services, volunteer who, as a board member, but now continues 2 years later to run the clothes cupboard that's in our building. And the clothes cupboard was a response to, what do kids in our community need? They need food, they need clothes when they're struggling, and this is a place for them and their family to go. And then right next to her is Esther Winter. Esther Winter's on our school board, amazing person who she's a local actor as well, an incredible talent. And my daughter's very fortunate to be in a regional theater production of A Christmas Carol with Esther, who's her stage mom is Mrs. Cratchit. And Esther is this dynamic, intelligent, thoughtful, wonderful human being who joined the board a couple of terms ago and is just so just incredible as a board member, thoughtful. Like I said, I keep using that word, but just in touch with so many members of our community and contributes. And, so Dirk, the holding Peggy's hand, is an oncologist and active community volunteer as well. An all-around great guy. But this is this notion of all of these people have these deep connections to different parts of our community and have represented them so well. But they're just all these thoughtful human beings who have created this family, right? So our board is like that. I mean, I continue to have breakfast with the current board president and 2 previous board presidents who are both on the board for a very long time. And, we're deeply connected in this work around kids and making our community a better place to be.
A picture tells 1,000 words. Yeah. And there's your buddy, Dr. Bell.
There you go.
Now, wearing the gear, supporting it. Again, Kevin, you can see in your leadership, you knew everybody in the picture. You knew a little bit about them. They were all wearing the Brighton gear. Your leadership is evident.
Thank you.
Again, 17 years, Kevin, when you got there, right, you saw some gaps, you saw some things. The graduation rate was right at 89, 90, but you noticed some things. 54% graduates of people of color, 65% graduates, students with disabilities. And you, with your people, have raised that. Talk to me about the achievement that you've done over the 17 years, the focus on children and your inclusivity and your decision making. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I mean, that was really that is what we're most proud of, is that achievement and excellence is measured for us by achievement and excellence for all kids, not just some kids. And I think that at the beginning of that conversation, it was about making sure as we dug into that and peeled the layers back and confronted it honestly, and I think in many ways courageously, that it wasn't about accusing people of not caring about children or not caring about achievement at all, or about assuming that some other kids wouldn't for some reason be engaged or achieve. It was really about just acknowledging that we could do better for all kids and saying, okay, but this is where we're at, in a non-judgmental way. And I don't think it was ever about not paying attention intentionally to the needs of all children. You know, I inherited a long tradition of high achievement and excellence and a high performing district, et cetera. And the conversation about achievement for all kids just hadn't happened yet. Right, wrong, or indifferent just hadn't really happened yet. Like there was somewhat of a lack of awareness or understanding. And it might be hard for some people listening to this today to think about that in 2025, where that's been now a huge focus for so many people. But go back 17 years ago. And were we having those same conversations 17 years ago? Most people were not in the ways that we should. So I think the initial was, wait a second, this is great that this group of kids is still going to Ivy League schools and highly competitive colleges, universities, and we should be that. That is an important part of who we are. Let's keep that. But what about all of these kids? They're not doing as well. And don't we have the same level of responsibility to them? And what do we do about that? And it's going to require something different, because what we're doing is working for this group, but it's not working for all these other groups. And how do we get at that? And what do we need? And things like, I mentioned the clothes cupboard, a food cupboard for our most struggling families. Like, how do you eliminate the barriers that are getting in the way of people achieving? How do you make sure that you're developing different types of academic programs, basic needs, academic needs, intellectual needs, social emotional needs? All of those things kind of are the stew that came together to say, okay, we've eliminated every barrier, including, any instructional barriers we've put up, and paved the way. It's the, given the weather, I'll say it's like the snowplow in front of every human that you're working with to make sure you're clearing the way so they can be successful. And just over time, that's built to a point where now there's very little difference between our subgroups. Our graduation rate has gone to 96, 98%, depending on the year, but for all kids within 2 or 3 percentage points. And that is what we're most proud of. And at the same time, we've only become more diverse socioeconomically, racially, ethnically, in every way, which is, I think, remarkable in that as we continue to confront the barriers of English as a second language or new language and all the challenges that society has seen grow everywhere over the last 17 years, our kids are continuing to and building more and more relative to their achievement.
Dr. McGowan, friends, Rochester, New York. If you're watching live, jump in and say hello. Kevin, Dr. Bell wrote the word rock star in the chat here.
Okay.
And again, to see what you've done there, but it's also been recognized, not only in the state, 2022 Superintendent of the Year in New York, but nationally, 2023 Superintendent of the Year. What a recognition and a tribute to your work. What was that experience like? I know we want to be servant and humble leaders, but that's a big spotlight there, Kevin, that you had. Talk to me about that achievement for you, your family, and certainly the district. What did that mean for you?
Well, I'm not feigning humility when I tell you that I really do feel like that award was way more about the people that I work with than it was about me as an individual. I just think it's impossible to envision that as an individual accolade that is because of you as an individual, right? So, listen, the guy in Major League Baseball that has the highest batting average can give credit to coaching, can give credit perhaps to who bats before him or after him in the lineup, hopefully would give credit to those things, but ultimately is the person at the plate swinging at the fastball coming at him, right? I think that professional golfer Scotty Scheffler can give credit to his team and his family, et cetera, but ultimately is the individual on the course. There is no way that in my role or any superintendent's role, they are that person individually at the plate or on the golf course. They are working with a team of people. I'm not in the classroom teaching global studies. I'm not teaching kindergarten. I'm not doing AIS reading. I am not driving a bus. I am not serving food in the cafeteria. I'm not doing those things to counsel and support children and families. So I really do think it is a representation of the work that was done by our entire team, by our board, by our community, by every single staff member, by people, going back to that example of the graduation rate that we talked about, to say that every individual child in our district is as important as our own children at home, and we are going to nurture every individual and meet their needs. And it was their decision individually to adopt that kind of mentality and to do the things that it took to address every individual that changed our outlook for kids, that changed our numbers, changed all of those outcomes. And that award was really because of that. So I work hard at it. I'm proud of it. I think I have developed skill sets over time, and I try hard to be the best I can be. So it was very personally gratifying, but I'm telling you, it really is representative of all these other factors. I do think that for me personally, in a role that requires your family to give up a piece of you in terms of time and energy and your soul at times, it was very gratifying that they would receive that moment of pride because they're a part of it, right? So I was very excited about that. I was very excited for my parents who have given so much to my brother and I and who raised us to be good people. And my mom is a formal educator. My dad is a person who, although as an engineer, I would say would be an informal educator in so many ways, and a coach and a volunteer and important people in my life. I was so happy for them to feel that sense of pride. I was so happy for my family. I was so happy for our team that was very excited because it was this recognition of the work that we've done. And so excited for our board who hired me. A board, a board puts themselves out there when they bring you in and hire you for the community. And they chose the right spouse, so to speak. We talk about that relationship as a marriage often. So I think for all those reasons, it was a really remarkable and exciting moment. And, my wife and I still look at each other sometimes. We'll see a picture or we'll talk about it and be like, how cool was that? It's fun to just live in that. Like it was a really fun moment to be right in that space with my peers and think about the work done in our district and how among all those people that was being recognized, because it meant that a lot of kids did really well because of the work.
Yeah. Well, there's a great picture there. There's a ton online, but congratulations. I know it was a couple years ago, but that is, us here in New York, smaller schools, small cities, like we're happy for you.
Thank you.
And again, the respect that you have, New York State to be recognized nationally. Congratulations, Kevin.
Thanks.
But you mentioned skill set, and I've got to see it a few times. Again, it's on display today. Your presence, your speaking ability, the way you speak, the way you address groups. There's humor. There's a wittiness. It's not all fun and games, but there's a little. I love it. But then, of course, the content. Talk to me about prepping when you speak, whether it's opening a meeting for your cabinet or speaking to an auditorium full of 500 people. How do you prepare where you put in, as you say in your writing, the special sauce, the secret ingredients to make your presence felt by your audience?
Well, I'm an Irishman, so the gift of gab was nurtured from a young age at the dinner table. But I will tell you, I think that, I don't think anybody enters a space to listen to somebody speak, looking to be bored, looking to be, listen, we have so much entertainment available to us, right? TV, movie, podcasts, ELB podcast available for people to be entertained all the time, right? So I think that it's about keeping in mind that the content is awfully important, but the people in front of you want to develop a relationship with you, want to be in a space with you where they're enjoying every moment of their life, right? And that doesn't mean that we're putting on a comedy set, and it doesn't mean that we're, singing and dancing in a way that is performative and insincere. But I think just knowing that the people in front of you, their time is valuable, and that you want to connect with them as a human being, and that it's okay to joke, it's okay to kind of connect as a human is awfully important. I think about our opening day every year in Brighton, and the talk I give is probably a good example and can kind of get at this for you. I prepare that for months. And it's not that I'm sitting down at the computer writing it for months. I'm thinking about it all the time. I'm thinking about things that come up that strike me as, gosh, that's something I'd love to tell the staff on opening day. And then there's elements to it. There's a formula that is developed over time too, right? I usually talk about my family a little bit, and I pop pictures of the kids up, and I talk about what they're up to. Many of the people in that audience have taught my kids, have been around my kids, but there's an intentionality to that. And I'm sending a lot of different messages, I think, about the importance of family, about every individual child, treating them as if they are our own, about my own humanity as a dad. Yeah, I'm their colleague. I work with them. I'm the superintendent in their district, but I'm a dad in this community. And I want the same things for my kids that everybody else would. And I'm kind of representing that. This year, we had some really cool video clips from Buffalo Bills at training camp. There's a lot in our area around Hard Knocks. The Bills are on Hard Knocks. A lot of Bills fans here. I'm a lifelong Bills fan. Go Bills. And we were able to get some video clips of people at camp, like Deion Dawkins saying, go Bruins, have a great year, good luck Brighton, that kind of thing, and factor those in. And then, as I was thinking about that and thinking about the Bills and thinking about the way Brandon Beane, their general manager, and Sean McDermott, the head coach, have developed a culture that is focused on supporting each other, that is focused on doing the right things the right way for the right reasons, how that translates to our work. So I'm always kind of thinking about those things and putting them together over time. And I think, a little bit of humor, a little bit of self-deprecation, a little bit of just knowing there's some good lines in there, I think people enjoy. And it's a little bit, it helps people settle into the conversation and gives you the opportunity to get serious with people when you start in a place, to get people to laugh a little bit, to maybe cry a little bit, to kind of connect with their own emotions a little bit. And then you can really kind of dig into, okay, now listen, here's what I think we ought to be focused on, and here's what I'm hearing, and here's what I'm thinking about. And I think being honest and upfront and just, speak from the heart and the soul. So and you've heard me speak in different places and in different circumstances. I think it's just very similar. How do you balance the message that you're trying to get across with the moment that you're in with people, respecting their time, knowing that they'd probably enjoy laughing a little bit and enjoy, just being in community with each other a little bit, and move it. I'm rambling now, but move it quickly, like keep going. And
Timing.
You don't have to do it for 45 minutes. You can maybe keep it a little bit more concise. I had a board president who said to me one time, cut it in half again. Right. And I think that helps too. So it's all of that. And then finally, I'll finish with this. There are a lot of things that I write out, particularly that opening day speech, and then I read about 5% of it. And I write it out to just be able to think through it and make sure that I've got on paper all of the people in our district that I want to thank for preparing us for the opening of the year. But then after that, I'm speaking from the heart, and people develop a different comfort level with their ability to do that. That has certainly for me evolved over time. But I think being able to look out at a group of people and connect with them as a human and speak from the heart, have your outline, but I think that really helps.
The dog liked that too, obviously.
She did. Yeah. Rosie Pickles is all for it. So, and apparently UPS is here.
The timing of it. I like the word percolate, Kevin. I was similar with what you want to say, right? Something might happen in March that you're going to refer back to, but you're putting those things in there, and it's true. You have maybe 4 or 5 during the year that you got to hit a home run, and the opening day is one of them. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
My pleasure.
Kevin, all the work you're doing, your family, you've mentioned your family a lot, but you're also constantly growing professionally yourself. You still continue to write. You still continue to speak. You still continue to sharpen your own saw. Talk to me about the writing you're doing, not only with the Super Sauce, with your partners, Jason Andrews, Ken Bassett, and Lars Clemenson. You write a weekly blog and videos through the Super Sauce, but tell me about that collaboration as well as your other professional writings and speaking to help you grow. How do you make the time and find the time to do those things, and what does it mean for you professionally?
I think first of all, making the time is really important for a couple different perspectives to point out. One, that anybody that's interested in thinking about doing different things, I'd say you should do them. Always focusing on the fact that your work in your district is your primary work. That is your lifeblood. That is your number one priority all the time. And it can't, the other things can't at all come at the expense of any of the work you're doing in the district. So you just got to find the right balance in your life and know that means you've got to do it in the evening, on the weekend, early in the morning, but that at least in the role that I'm in, but I think in most of our roles, it's a 24/7 role that requires your attention as its priority all the time. That's just always important for, I think, people to keep in mind. But for me, it has been enormously beneficial, gratifying, and frankly helps me be better at the work to engage in it in a lot of different professional ways, right? So the work through NISCUS and being involved in NISCUS over time has only helped me understand better what is happening in the state, learn from the people around me, be engaged in the dialogue across our state. Super important, helped me in the work certainly at Brighton and impacted our district in a lot of different meaningful, practical ways, but philosophically, intellectually. But I think that the other things, more recently over the last several years, and Supersauce at Substack.com, I think is important for people to subscribe to. My Super Saucers reminded me in a group text this morning that there should be a minimum of 5 times that it's mentioned. So I think that you mentioned it once, I mentioned it twice. We're going to try and squeeze in some more Supersauce at Substack.com. It's
going in the chat here right now for your guys there. Subscribe. You can find it online, and there it is in the chat. Absolutely. So,
the story behind that and some of the other work, working quite a bit through NISCUS to support new superintendents and in the superintendent development program, and working on strategic planning with people through NISCUS and being a support for that, or talking to other superintendents about the relationship with their board and supporting that kind of work. It really requires me to think about my own work all of the time. And not just keep doing it, but pause and think about, okay, what does work for us and what could work better based on what I'm trying to work on with other people or what they've asked about. And any group I've ever worked with, I tell them at the beginning, and I had the opportunity to work with you and your friend and mine, John Bell. I told the group at the beginning that I was going to steal from them and that Brighton is better because of Port Jervis, and we appreciate that, because something will come up in any room of educators that you will think about and think, gosh, we should be thinking about that too. That's a brilliant idea. And those happen all the time, and they happen quite a bit at Port Jervis. The Super Sauce example is a great one because that was, the 4 of us are tight. We didn't talk about this much, but I'll tell you the value of professional friendships and relationships is something that I've learned over time as they've developed over time. But I'm best friends with these guys and many other superintendents in the state. But we coalesced around this idea of our group chat, where we share ideas, we commiserate, we say, can you believe this thing I've got going on? And like, hey, have you ever had this? Or what do you think of this? I'm going to email you guys this letter that I'm sending out. Could you give me some feedback? And I mean, that happens regularly with the 4 of us. So this is not performative. This really is sincerely something that we've developed over time together. And then, randomly at some point said, we should put this out regularly. Why don't we talk about this? What do you think? And we're from 4 different regions, 4 different districts, 4 different approaches. Wouldn't it be interesting if we did this? And, and I can't explain exactly where, but the concept, the framework of it being a recipe kind of evolved and jumped on Substack and said, let's just do this. And, we rotate who is the central or the main author. And I think intentionally don't necessarily reveal who it is on a given week, because it really is coming from the four of us. And that also helps to depersonalize from an individual district, right? Which could be uncomfortable. We're kind of sharing broader stories. Somebody else edits it. Maybe two people edit it. We send it out to each other. So there's this great collaboration. There's a lot of people over the stove, and we brainstorm topics together. It connects us in a really cool way. So I think we look at it as we're putting together over time a cookbook of interesting lessons, interesting ways to think about the work. And listen, it might not be Tales from the Hardwood, Surviving and Thriving, but we're doing our best to put together the right recipes for people to think about, reflect on, and hopefully impact their kids in their district and their community.
Yeah. And I just put this to subscribe there. It is definitely worthwhile. It's every Friday morning. Am I saying that right, Kevin?
7:30 Friday morning, every 7:30 every Friday.
There's humor, there's ingredients, there's good stuff. And again, I agree with the professional collaboration. Jason Andrews, Ken Bossett, and Lars Clemenson was on here a couple years ago on the podcast. So very cool, Kevin. Keep writing, keep learning, keep leading. Anything else you wanted to share?
No, I so appreciate the work you're doing, your books, and you worked with our team this past summer, and we're just amazing. And I didn't send this to you, so I thought I'd surprise you at the end of the podcast and say it to you. I was thinking about this morning, and I was standing in Matt Tappan, our Council Rock Primary School principal's office, and he's been in the building now 15 years. And I was waiting. We have Fulbright scholars who are working in some of our classrooms, and we were waiting for people from the University of Rochester to come for a visit. And as I'm standing at his desk, I look down, and what do I see? Right there, a little card from Andrew Murata about his goals for the year and an activity that you conducted with us in August on our leadership retreat. And I was so pleased and excited to be able to tell you, because I know how important it is to you that it be meaningful that you do this work and that there's outcomes and impact from the work. Well, here it is. A long tenured elementary principal who's great at his job is thinking differently about his work and reflecting on his goals that, listen, he does great work, but you impacted him, and that was sitting there. I thought that was pretty great. So keep doing the work you're doing, because it is making a difference for people, not only in New York State, but across the country. We really appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Kevin. It's in the action, right? We could talk about leadership. We could talk about a New Year's resolution or a book we're reading, but it's in the action. So kudos to your principal for doing that. And thanks for sharing that story. That was very, very kind of you. Kevin, continued success to you, your team, us in leadership positions, right? When we meet other people, and that's why I love the podcast, to see success leaves clues. You've done it here on the podcast. You've done it in your work. So thank you. My blessings to your family.
Thank you.
This holiday season, you got older ones in college, some sports guys. Your daughter, I know she's becoming the head of the household there. So I hope she'll continue to call those snow days for you. That's an important decision.
She'll try like the boys did before.
All right. Well, let's get you out. This is a rapid fire, though. This is our ending here to heat it up, to keep us warm here in the Northeast. Are you ready?
I'm ready. And I thank you, in case I don't get to say it at the end, I thank you for all of your work too, really, and having me on. This is awesome, and for all the ways you're impacting things. So I'm very lucky. I work with a great team, but I've worked with great people like you that help me be better all the time. So thank you.
Awesome, Kevin. Yeah. Shout out to Dr. Jack Mitchell. He's watching, tuning in from Long Island. School business official there, heavily involved in New York State also.
I went to Guatemala with Jack. We built classrooms in Guatemala. Great man, Jack Mitchell is.
You were on that trip with him.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And now we're on our Jack's listening. So Jack, we're on our second trip at Brighton this year. The Brighton Believes in Global Citizenship, bringing kids back in February. My wife, daughter, and a whole bunch of people from our middle school building classrooms again with Hug It Forward, Serve the World Today, and super excited for that. Yeah,
wow. Yeah, that was a great trip. I've met a lot of people that were on that trip, and very cool. Look at that small world there.
Sure is.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Well, let's get you out of here. Rapid fire, quick answers. Here we go. Last movie you saw?
The Banshees of Inisherin last night, and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I got home from our kids playing in the state championship game, and it happened to be on. Well, I grabbed a bite. Love a little bit of Clark Griswold.
That's a classic. How'd the kids do? How'd the team do?
They played awfully hard. They had a great run. They were not ultimately successful in winning the game. They were successful in being unbelievable competitors. So great kids. Happy for the Bruins.
Wow. Maybe they'll get there one day. It didn't go for us this year, but give a shout out to our Port Jervis. That's last year's state championship.
That's pretty awesome. This is our first trip to the finals, so very excited for our program. And Coach Steve Lee, and they've done a great job.
Keep leading. Last concert you went to?
Coldplay in Boston. First night, not the second night, and with my wife.
Excellent. Hopefully, not on the Jumbotron there.
Nope.
Legendary there. Incredible. Last song you sang out loud in the car?
I have not. I spare myself. It's that bad. So I can't even think of one.
Your favorite dish?
Chicken parm.
It's on the menu tonight in our house. Kevin, we talked about all the good things, but there's a lot of stress that goes into that. What's your stress reliever, your go-to kind of breakaway?
Oh man, time with my family, time on the golf course. I think just time to put it aside and reflect. But I think it's the time with my family more than anything else.
Amen to that. In 2025, I have fill in the blank.
I think rethought and reflected on how to continue to shift the work we're doing and not be stuck in the same places. So just kind of tried to keep reimagining exactly what we're getting at.
In 2026, I will.
Same thing. Really reflect on the work. And I think it's about persevering and trying to, maybe it feeds back into the I have, trying to maintain a sense of calm, a sense of it'll be okay, a sense of let's control our own exciting future and destiny and not get too caught up in some of what could be the tremendous negativity. Let's confront the realities of what's happening in the world and make sure we're helping all the humans that we work with, but focus on what we can control right in front of us.
Another great answer. You referenced Tales from the Hardwood, so I'm going to reference it again. The National Coordinator of Officials. The last chapter in here is absorb chaos, create calm, and provide hope. And you basically said that in last year and moving into next year as well. Western New York is fill in the blank.
Kind.
Cold.
Western New York is kind. It is cold, but I think I love the city of good neighbors that I grew up in Buffalo, but that whole mentality of being connected to each other, looking out for each other, taking care of each other. I think I think it gets described sometimes as a Midwestern feel in Western New York, to just being good for each other and looking out for each other.
Have you jumped on a table at a Bills tailgate?
Have not. That was not a primary activity when I would have been in the demographic and behavioral demographic to jump through a table. That is a newer phenomenon, and I think it would not have a good outcome for me.
There's got to be a lot of separated shoulders. I mean, it just cannot be pleasant.
I don't think it is. I'm not sure that most of that pain is felt that day. You have to be otherwise influenced to really decide you're going to jump through a table. It's not a thing that makes a lot of sense. I'm not telling you I haven't enjoyed watching it, but I have not participated.
Yeah. Have you gone to a game this year?
I'm going tomorrow. I haven't gone this year. Bills take on the Bengals, going with some high school friends. Very excited for that. And we are, after 2.5 years on the waiting list, we have tickets for next year. So we're very excited about that. Yeah.
Congratulations. I know Dr. Bell had his first trip up there, I think 2 years ago. He was excited about that.
It's quite a scene. We like to go a couple times a year, but now we're going to go more often. And actually, that's another one we do with Dr. Jason Andrews and his family and enjoy that time together, connecting kind of just outside of the work and spending time together as a family with our wives and our families. It's been great.
Did you go as a kid as one of the shovelers?
I never shoveled, but I did pick up empties in the parking lot. I've done all sorts of things at that stadium. It brings some great memories. Although the next place is going to be pretty amazing right across the street.
Oh, they're not in the new stadium yet. That's not
No,
open?
no, it's next year.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, still in the old stadium.
Okay. Well, superintendent of the year, you got to go with the new stadium. I mean,
It'll be
it's
great.
warmer. Fantastic. Oh my God, we could talk Bills all day. Biggest
All day.
leadership tip from Josh Allen.
Oh, it's always about team with Josh Allen. Here he is the MVP, but it's always about team. And he talks about that all the time. Always about team. It's not about him. He's always reflective and thoughtful about what he can do better, never calling out anybody for what they should do better.
Sounds like he must read the secret super sauce there, because that's what I heard
I
today.
hope so.
Best new superintendent advice.
Take a breath. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Develop relationships. Build capacity over time. Take your time. Understand what really is urgent and what requires more time to improve or to get better or to address.
Something about Kevin McGowan that people do not know about.
Gosh, I feel like everybody knows everything. I said this to my wife and daughter this morning, and they had all sorts of things that I won't repeat for anybody on here that when people know about. But then we settled on that I auditioned in about 1982 for Reading Rainbow unsuccessfully. And I'm still disappointed and wish that I had a little bit of special time with LeVar Burton ever since then. But I can't think of anything else.
Friends, this is Dr. McGowan, Brighton Central Schools, Rochester, New York. Kevin, you're the man. Thank you for today. Let's bring us home with a quote. You have a quote you'd like to share?
I think there's two that resonate with me that I want to share with you. One is Theodore Roosevelt. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I think that's really important. Gets back to the advice you asked for new superintendents. It's about relationships. It's about developing that. You can know all the things in the world, but if people don't think you care, it's not going to matter. And the other is the one that you've heard me talk about before with people, quoted by Ted Lasso, but quoting Walt Whitman, which is be more curious and less judgmental. And I think if we're a lot more curious and not assuming that the parent missed the parent conference because they don't care, or assuming that somebody came into late to school or work late just because, maybe they're not as responsible or whatever, I think we leave ourselves in a negative place a lot of the time. We don't ask the important questions like, how can I help you? And what do you need? And what might be on your mind? And what challenges do you have? And it leads to a whole lot of negativity and stress. I think if we're a lot more curious and ask the right questions, we're able to get to better solutions. It's just a better way to live.
Enjoy the time with family, Kevin. This was fantastic. Dr. McGowan, check him out. Check out his website there. A lot of great content there as well. Kevin, thanks for your work you're doing professionally, and keep leading, my friend.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate it, Andrew. Thanks for the work you're doing, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah. All right. Have a great day. Stay on the line a second. To our viewers, leave Kevin a positive comment in the chat there, and go Bills. Thanks, Kevin.
Go Bills. Thanks, buddy.